Gambia government have refuted claims of reported fuel shortage in the country. African leaders met in Cairo to deliberate on the multiple crises facing the continent, including climate change. And Gambia launches a new 5-year national development plan. Well, these and more coming ahead on The World Today. Hello, this is Eyeafrica TV and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin live from our studios in Banjul. Many thanks for joining us. I am Amadou Kante and now the news in detail. Now, the Gambia government has debunked rumors of fuel shortage in the country. In a statement, the government says the news of fuel shortage that has been peddling on social media is untrue. And let's have more details of that in this report by Mafuji Sise.
Rumors are circulating on social media urging people to buy gas oil in stock because of a possible 7 days shortage of the product. The government, however, informed the public that the information is untrue and baseless. In November 2021, Gambia was badly hit by fuel shortage, leading to the pressing of 8 economic crime charges on former general manager and operation manager of Gambia Petroleum. The two accused persons, Sehu Drame and Lamin Gassama, are standing trial before Justice Hadi Cecilia Roche of the Banjul High Court for their alleged involvement in causing monetary losses to Gambia Petroleum Company amounting to millions of dollars. The 8 criminal charges were economic crimes, stealing by clerk or servant and directors, officers of corporation and or companies, fraudulent appropriating property, or keeping fraudulent accounts. Both of them denied liability. The state has so far called 12 prosecution witnesses to prove the case beyond all reasonable doubts. In a press statement, the Ministry of Petroleum and Energy, in collaboration with the Public Utility and Regulatory Authority, Gambia Petroleum and General Petroleum Services, and oil marketing companies, emphasized the need for stock level in the country to be managed strategically to avoid shortage. The release further indicated that contrary to the claim being circulated, the government and OMCs have agreed on the fuel prices being set monthly to make fuel product affordable. The government said it continues to forego its revenue whilst the importers also agreed to reduce their importer margin by $20 per metric ton. The Russia and Ukraine war has brought several disturbances on the global businesses, particularly food importation, to a standstill, but the Gambia has not experienced shortages since the start of the war in March 2022. For Eyeafrica News, I am Mafuji Sise.
Elsewhere in the continent, the third edition of the Aswan Forum for Sustainable Peace and Development brought different stakeholders, including the UN Secretary General, to deliberate on multiple crises and, of course, currently facing the continent, especially food insecurity and climate change. Now, African leaders and stakeholders in the 2-day convergence in Egypt capital Cairo urge developed countries to fulfill their commitment to support the continent's response to the growing environmental challenges. The North African nation is scheduled to host this year's United Nations Climate Change Conference COP27. Here's more details of that in this report.
The third edition of the Aswan Forum comes at a time when Africa is facing major challenges. Though young, the forum is quickly gaining the attention of global and regional leaders. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, Secretary General of the United Nations Antonio Guterres, and Chairperson of the African Union Commission Moussa Faki were among the figures that joined the hybrid meeting digitally. Focusing on Africa's road for a resilient, peaceful and sustainable continent, food security topped the talks during the first day of the forum. Participants also focused on adaptation and mitigation measures for climate change, which is a pressing challenge in agricultural development. African leaders and experts meeting in Cairo called on the developed world to honor their commitment to help the continent face environmental issues.
In COP21 in Paris, there was an agreement, a commitment that 80% of the financing will be coming from global climate finance. And what we find from our models is that Africa requires a 1.6 trillion US dollars between now and 2030 to implement those INDCs successfully. But then we are receiving currently 18.3 billion US dollars annually. So if you look at it, the average requirement for Africa is about 127 billion US dollars annually to implement the INDCs. We are receiving 18.3 billion annually. So we have a climate finance gap of 118 billion US dollars.
Egypt is hosting the United Nations Climate Change Conference COP27 this year. The outcomes of this two-day meeting will be included in the agenda of the summit for world leaders to discuss during the conference this November. By creating the Aswan Forum, Egypt wanted to boost African cooperation in finding solutions for common challenges. With the Russian-Ukrainian crisis fueling food insecurity in the region and the ongoing economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on African economies, along with the conflicts in Africa, this is by far the most important edition of the Aswan Forum yet.
That report there is coming from the Egyptian capital, Cairo, and from the northern part of the continent now to the east, because the Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni recently disclosed that this African nation has struck a deposit of 31 million tons of gold ore, which expected a pure gold estimate to gross 320,000 tons. Now, he made revelation during the State of the Nation address, saying it would fetch the country more than $12 trillion. Now, while the president wants the gold to be refined locally, experts believe the breakthrough could bring significant developments. Here's more details of that in this report.
In Namayingo, eastern Uganda, artisanal miners carry out the painstaking task of extracting gold. It's an industry that could be about to boom. After government exploration surveys indicate there could be huge deposits in the country.
We have got a lot of gold. 320 million tons of gold confirmed, worth 12-point-something trillion dollars.
Uganda's president wants most of this mineral resource to be refined locally in a bid to boost the nation's economy.
It is criminal for anybody to continue arguing for the continued export of raw materials in Africa when there is 90% more value in that product that you are giving to the outsiders.
Gold tops the list of Uganda's most lucrative exports, followed by coffee. If estimates are correct, mineral development experts say this latest gold discovery could be worth more in revenues than the oil fields in the west of the country. With 6.5 billion barrels of oil available to be tapped, many expected fossil fuel to be a key driver of Uganda's economy. Now experts believe a gold rush could bring big benefits.
If that indeed is the volume that we have, it's time to clean our house and say, let us do business, let us develop our country, let us develop ourselves, and go to the middle income status and beyond.
Refining gold locally could enhance job creation and improve social service delivery for those living near to where the mineral is extracted. But for now, the government is hoping the discovery of this precious metal makes Uganda an attractive prospect for investors.
And from that positive development in Kampala, Uganda, we now take a break and come back shortly. Stay with us, there's more coming ahead right after the break. Welcome back, and this is Eyeafrica TV, and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin live from our studios in Banjul. Once again, many thanks for joining us. Now, whilst the Gambia government is refuting claim of fuel shortage in the Gambia, Nigeria, though, there is, of course, some fuel shortage. Now, despite Nigeria's government continuous subsidy on fuel, the oil-producing nation is still grappling with fuel scarcity in most parts of the country, leaving citizens worried about the situation. Now, there have been long queues at different fuel stations where motorists and business owners struggle to access fuel amidst its scarcity. Now, Nigeria is Africa's biggest oil producer. Let's have more details of that in this report.
It's been 3 days now since the scarcity of petrol suddenly hit Lagos, causing long queues at petrol stations. The queues are gradually thinning out as the scarcity appears to be easing, but the situation is still far from normal, at least not for these motorcycle delivery men who say they've been waiting for over an hour now to fill their tanks.
Our government should do something about this fuel issue. We are approaching election time, but still we are still suffering for the fuel issue. So I don't know what we are going to do.
Even to attend to my customer now, it shall be difficult for me to attend to them. Look at it now. This time now, I'm supposed to be in the market to attend to the customer. Now, I'm on queue here to buy fuel before I attend to the customers. And even now, I don't have hope whether I'll see fuel by today or no. There's no hope.
And they are not the only ones affected by the fuel shortage.
Some of the filling stations said at the normal price, some said higher. But at this particular filling station, they said at the normal price. But I think there is a limit. To that it will go around, they said for 5,000 each. They don't say more than 5,000 per car. But it's really difficult. The queue, I've been here for some hours.
The petrol scarcity has been attributed to the high logistics cost of conveying fuel from the depot to the various filling stations across the country. Local petroleum marketers say they can no longer sell fuel at the official price of 40 US cents in the face of the rising logistics cost. But the government says they have to do so and maintains it has enough supply to meet the country's needs. Nigeria imports virtually all of its refined petrol and sells it locally at a hugely subsidized rate. The subsidy is eating deep into government finances and the country's forex reserves. And despite advice even from the IMF and World Bank to do away with the expensive subsidy, the government has retained it, saying it plans to end it completely sometime next year.
And from the report in Nigeria, coming back home, the government of the Gambia Friday launched the sector working groups planning and management guidelines to apply in delivering development programs in the country. The document will succeed the National Development Plan 2018-2022. The launching mark the Green Recovery Focused National Development Plan 2023-2027 and the Long-Term Development Vision 2050. Aisatubia Kujabi has the details in this report.
The launching of the sector working group followed the formulation of the Green Recovery Focused National Development Plan (RF and NDP 2023 to 2027) and a long-term development vision 2050, which will serve as a successor of the NDP 2018 and 2021 and Vision 2020 respectively. The long-term development vision will guide the long-term trajectory of the country's development and transformation process. Permanent Secretary Abdoulaye Diallo said the implementation of the development plan was extended to enable government and stakeholders to work on formulating a successor recovery focused.
As you may be aware, the implementation of the National Development Plan 2018 to 2021 was extended to 2022. This will enable governments and the stakeholders to work on formulating a successor recovery-focused national development plan that will adequately address the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Broadly speaking, the plan will also help address the triple development challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic, climate change, and the risk of debt distress.
He added that prior to the launching, consultations were held with women, youth, children, persons with disability, council of elders across the wards and local government authorities.
Prior to this launching, consultations were held with women, youth, children, persons living with disability, council of elders across all the wards and local government authorities in the country, and also including representatives of our diaspora. These consultations has enabled stakeholders to provide their inputs into the next National Development Plan and the Vision 2050. The sector working groups, in their work, will be able to utilize and analyze these inputs from the stakeholders, in addition to the various studies, surveys, assessments, policies, and sector strategies to guide their work.
Salimata Toure, Secretary General and Head of Civil Service, emphasized that the work of the sector working group is very crucial to the formulation process of the plan.
Consultations with the stakeholders at the national level are almost complete. These consultations are generating a body of information, including reports at regional consultations that will feed into the work of the sectoral working groups. At this stage, I would like to emphasize that the work of the sector working groups is very crucial to the formulation process of the plans. The sector working groups will analyze outputs from the consultations, sector strategies and policies, surveys and studies, and thus effectively provide the necessary technical inputs that would support the formulation process, contribute to the implementation, oversee and contribute to the monitoring and evaluation of the two planning documents. Membership of the sector working groups is drawn from ministries, departments, agencies, academia, private sector, civil society, NGOs, and other relevant stakeholders with expertise in the sector.
The object of the sector working group optimize relevant sector expertise and provide an integrated review of sector-specific issues, including past and possible future performance of the sector. For Eyeafrica News, Aisatubi Kujabi.
And that report there by Aisatubi Kujabi, as Gambia launches a new 5-year development plan, we look forward to its impact in the country's development process. And with that, we eventually bring this news edition to an end. But for more details on this and other stories, as always, as ever, you can log on our website on Eyeafrica.tv. The TWT News Bulletin returns on Monday. But before then, we wish you a very pleasant weekend ahead. Bye for now.